Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales, where we craft spooky, atmospheric, sort of sometimes role playing sessions and stream them for you here on the internet. Your own very. Oh, I'm lost already. Let's just get on with it. Hi, Telling Tales, Symbaroum night, Wednesday night. That's what it is. Let's get the promo all wrapped up and out of the way, and then I can start inviting on the players because I'm sure everyone's very keen to get on with this session. We are now rapidly approaching the end of Wrath of the Warden, the first installment of the Throne of Thorns campaign. So, promo stuff down below. You'll find links to YouTube and to Twitch. You're watching on one. Please do check out the other and follow and subscribe and all that wonderful stuff. There's also links to our social media, to our Discord and our Patreon. Those all do exactly what you might expect them to do. So if you're interested, please do check those out. We run currently we're running two weekly shows, one on Monday, which is Shadows of Estrin with Johnny running that, and Symbaroum on Wednesdays. That's this. There is also a Thursday series, which is on hiatus at the moment, our World of Darkness anthology series, which should return sometime in May. We also run once a month one-shots of various different systems. The last one was Tales from the Loop, which should be going live over on YouTube very, very shortly. And the next one, which will hit around mid-April, I think, will be a Call of Cthulhu one from Johnny. Your favorite Call of Cthulhu keeper is back, and he's bringing Call of Cthulhu to space once again in our informal genre of Space Thulu. I believe it'll be a spiritual follow-up to the Long Silent Night, but not an actual sequel. So that will be coming to the channel soon. And there we go. That's all the promo done. Everyone's happy. I can stop talking about these boring things now and welcome on the players. And first this week, it's John playing Sir Arindar, last scion of House Dar, duelist, idealist, adventurer, and cat owner. So there we go.
Newly catted.
Newly catted. Yeah, that's the term.
That's how you know you've made it in Symbaroum.
Yes, you have a dangerous cat. So how did we start last week, John? How did we start? Tell me. I don't know.
We started seemingly at the end. Farron, the meerkat, sort of pulled us into a clearing and then sort of sat there screaming the way cats do when they're trying to tell you something but won't actually tell you what it is. Sort of scuffing at the ground. And Aaron went over to try and, maybe there's a trapdoor or something, kick some of the leaves aside. And then, stuff started, the leaves started building a doorway, and then there was a doorway in the middle of the clearing. And we decided that we'd come this far, so we might as well walk through it.
Be weird if you didn't. And also anticlimactic and a real problem for me with regards to what came next. And what did come next will be revealed by our second player. It's Stephen. Stephen plays Elindra, former Templar turned sellsword. And we're hopped from the most kind of naive idealist member of our group to the most, I think it's fair to say, randomly brutal. So there we go.
Yeah, well... Sure. Okay. Why not?
Why not?
I like to think of it as efficiency, but
Yeah, no, that's fair. So what lay beyond the portal in the Grove?
So the spooky portal led to a short spooky tunnel, I guess, which led to a pretty big sort of enclosed. I guess you would call it a cave. Where we were greeted by three actual, honest-to-goodness elves. I was going to say just sitting there chilling out. That's not at all the case. Sitting there being extremely, mysterious and impressive and elfy. So there was a central figure who was very big. Elves grow more as they get older, we find out. So this must have been a very old one. It was kind of sat cross-legged, and then behind them, two sort of cowled figures weeping into wooden bowls. From this, we surmised that we were in the Hall of 1,000 Tears, where no tear falls, whatever the phrase was.
Where no tear falls in vain, I believe.
That's the one.
It's either the Hall of 1,000 Tears or it's a goth club in it. So
yeah. My brain went to no tears falls unjustifiably, but that's a different thing. So we just kind of shuffled in and asked if we could see TTRPG.
Yeah, the only real link you had was the name of that elf who had perhaps been the mentor to Anadea, and one of the elves went off, presumably to get her, although who knows? Well, we do. We know now. We didn't at the time. And to talk about a long stretch of not knowing anything, let's bring in Mike. Mike plays our Theurg of Prios, Anton, now with new art. Look at that. There he is. We've waited a long time, but he's we're feature complete now with all the members of the party having their new art. So there we go. Isn't it lovely?
It's absolutely spot on. Yeah, John's absolutely knocked that out of the park. So big shout out to John.
And I should have said it's John, as all the art is, as everyone knows. It's all John. So there we go.
All the character art is.
All the character art. Yeah, all the art from Symbaroum is obviously not John.
I have had people well-meaningly but mistakenly attribute some of Martin Grip's work to me, and all I can say is I bloody wish.
Yeah. So, Mike, what happened next?
Oh, we had a big old wait for Tiara Tiana. And what did we do in that time? Well, we really ran the gamut of all possible things that we could do. We slept, we ate, we spoke to some elves, we inquired about some nice murals that are on the walls nearby that depicted some men making the Iron Pact with the elves many thousands of years ago. In fact, with possibly an elf prince called Eniano. We spoke to the elves. We learned a little bit more about them. What else? There was a bit of a commotion outside at one point, and we heard that the aforementioned Prince Eniano was somewhere beyond the Hall of 1,000 Tears and was possibly having quite a bad day.
Seemed a little unsettled, disturbed. Yeah.
And I think that was sort of it. I think about 8 hours passed or something like that.
Yeah, on stream, and then that represented 80 hours. Yeah, no, a lot of it was waiting. I think also just of note, not that it's a massive thing that'll come up immediately or anything, but I thought something interesting to note of that forging of the Iron Pact is that one of those. Or did you not roll that? Or no, I think you did.
No. I think I know where you're going with this. That one of the men who was depicted in the mural, sort of doing the Iron Pact with the elves, that is legend says that is a distant ancestor of Queen Corinthia. If that's Correct. Where you were going with that,
that is indeed where I was going with that. And yes, so. Fascinating interlinking things, if legends are to be believed. And speaking of legends, let's bring on the changeling machine gun himself. Let's bring on Sam, who plays Ascarai, changeling scout and mower down of foes. And Sam's got the easy bit of this flashback. Because last week we had probably the big exposition scene of the story, and Sam's just going to tell it us all now flawlessly.
Yeah, word for word. It's only going to take like half an hour. Basically, Tiara Tiana eventually showed up. I can't remember exactly what she looked like, but I remember that we recognized her as being one of the elves that Anadea had drawn a picture of somewhere. So we kind of had a good idea who it was. I think the first thing that happened was she asked us who we all were, and when we told her who Lysindra was, very kind of withdrawn, did not want to say who she was.
Shifty.
Shifty. Exactly the word I was looking for. When we told them who Lysindra was, she basically got arrested and sort of taken away. We asked like what she'd done at some point, and it was kind of basically that she was related to a part of the Iron Pact that was seen as more dangerous, not really in line with the part of the Iron Pact that Tiara Tiana is a part of, and presumably
kind of too aggressive, kind of loose cannons.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that also applies to the elf who is friends with Lysindra back in Thistlehold as well. So yeah, she was taken off. It was, and then I think the most important things for what we have to do is that at some point, Alaba, who is kind of an antiquities dealer in Thistlehold, who we know and met at one point, kind of
saved.
Yeah, saved
from
his
the
life.
Beast Clan. Yeah,
he's quite friendly with us, to be honest. He owes us a favor, kind of, but he previously had gone into Davokar, seemingly quite deep into Davokar. I think a path through the forest was mentioned, with a band of sort of mercenaries and sellswords, and had taken the head of a god, a quite peaceful god by the sounds of it, but nevertheless having this god's head was quite a corruptive thing. And so when he brought it back to Thistlehold, the well, which is kind of a warning device, a magical warning device, gave off a warning, which unintentionally caused the sinkhole and all the business with Clan Jazora. But that is basically the cause of what has happened back in Thistlehold. Anadea had sort of been tasked with figuring out what was going on, and was Tiara Tiana's Iron Pact kind of contact there. And so now there's no one, now that Anadea is dead, other than this sort of dangerous faction. And so we have kind of been given the task and agreed to take on the task of recovering this god's head and bringing it back to Thistlehold, where I think hopefully it can be reunited with the god's body. But at the very least,
I don't know if you intended to say Thistlehold there, but back to the forest, essentially.
Yes, yeah, back to Davokar. Yeah. Sorry, not back to Thistlehold. Back to Davokar, and hopefully that will sort of right the corruptive influence that it's...
Yeah, because Alaba is intending to do something with it that is clearly threatening horrible enough corruption to have set off the ancient mechanism of the well. Yeah, I think Sam's done an excellent job there of essentially summarizing the Games Master section at the beginning of the story. So yes, very well done. I don't think there's anything else. Tiara Tiana kind of made sure a portal was open for you near Thistlehold, sent you back so you wouldn't have to spend days rambling through the forest. Yeah. And I think that brings us to our final party member. Big recap this week. Big recap, but big stuff happened. Let's bring on our final player, Chris, who plays everyone's favorite, the curmudgeonly former infantryman and horribly traumatized war veteran, Theo, now turned occasional city guardsman and sellsword. Hi, Chris.
Hello, everybody. So yes, so it turns out, first off, the large elf, the big elf in the middle, who was very old, was in charge of the handy tunnel device, which is kind of like a gateway network to different parts of the forest, from what I understood. But he, this friendly friend, managed to deposit us very close to Thistlehold. and we decided to. The plan was to head back to the secret hideout, the clubhouse, the forbidden room, which we're staying in at the moment, in order to get our plans together and go a bonking. But upon being one of the last few groups of people through the North Gate, were accosted by the Night Watch captain, whose name is not on my list. I'm sorry, I'm terrible.
Captain
But
Decimado.
Captain Decimado.
Mm-hmm.
And he inquired if we were back already, which led to some additional spookiness about maybe the hall where no tear is shed in vain doesn't really work on the same time as the rest of the forest. But anyway, he kind of, I was trying to brush him off, but he convinced us to, in a friendly way, to come with him and have a chat.
Yeah, you were not arrested, but encouraged to
Yes.
go talk to him and Captain Marvello in their office.
Yes, in the office we've been in before. It's a place we're familiar with. Marvello was kind of a little bit annoyed at us for leaving, but we did in fairness, we did tell him. But he's also a little bit cagey with us because we keep coming across important stuff and not telling him. So after a little bit of silence where we decided how much information we were going to tell him, we decided to tell him the pertinent stuff. And that is, we have to deal with Erlaba as soon as possible because he is the leader of a cult. This cult is based out of the old tannery in town. And this probably needs done sooner rather than later. Now, I think it was Decimado then said, "Oh, Erlaba is it?" and went across to effectively the police records cabinet and brought out basically a sheet of paper that says this guy is reasonably sus.
Reasonably sus, and if he's guilty of the things he's sus of, then they're all appalling, like horrible, horrible murders, including his own family.
Yeah, it's definitely much closer to actual monster than reasonably sus.
Yeah, but also seems to have been cunning enough to have escaped the grasp of the law, although clearly someone heavily under suspicion from Decimado himself.
It was basically...
So the decision...
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, the decision was made that we should probably deal with this as soon as possible. And then Marvello said that, well, we're not doing this without going to speak to ... Night Pitch. So we are on our way across town to speak to the owner, as it were.
Yes, the mayor of Thistlehold, Lassifor Night Pitch, who you have met before. Well, a bunch of you have met before. The three kind of OG members of the stream have met before. Yeah, so we'll pick up where we left off, and thank you everyone for those copious recaps, which were needed. It was very highly plot and exposition heavy last week. So we pick up with the group trudging through the streets of Thistlehold. It's it's at night, but it's not hugely late, maybe about 10 o'clock at night. Very dark though, what with it being autumn. The rain is still absolutely crashing down on the rooftops, on the cobblestones, kind of, when it's raining so hard on like a stone or a paved surface that like the main thing almost getting wet is your feet and your shins, because all that water is reflecting back up at you. And I'd say you're kind of part way across the town by now, trudging all the way to the south. Conveniently, Nightholm is on the exact opposite side of the of Thistlehold to the North Gate. Is there any kind of conversation you want to have had with Decimado and Marvello, or amongst each other, or anything like that, as you've all kind of miserably trudged through the rain?
I think I might ask them about Night Pitch's health as we're going there.
As you're going, Decimado, who's definitely the more talkative of the two. I mean, just having met them, you separately, you'll have been able to tell that. But he kind of peers across at you from under his quite expensive-looking hood and says, "Oh, nothing to be worried about, I shouldn't think. Just a little cold." That's what they all say, anyway. He seemed He seemed capable of doing something when he was in that cart
Yeah,
at the sinkhole.
a little worse for wear, but as you say, hopefully nothing serious.
This cult of yours aren't ones for spreading plagues or anything, are they?
We honestly don't really know. It sounds like there's more than one cult in the town, so I'm sure one of them goes in for that kind of thing.
I mean, there was the incident at the Witch and Familiar. I'm not quite sure that we ever found out exactly who that was, other than some cultists that wanted us dead.
There was certainly someone who seemed like a professional assassin when you took on the Red Eye, but whether it was them or not. Oh, actually, no. Did we kind of determine it was them because they had a pouch full of nasty spores and things?
They were poisoners for sure.
Mm.
The stuff that they were firing out seemed to be a lot more tailored and specific and kind of
sure.
I think the pouch of spores Anton believes is medicinal cures.
It is.
Well, in that case,
absolutely is.
He's feeding that to an injured person at some point.
In that case, yeah, I guess your group has no. Not that I'm telegraphing that. But like, yeah, as far as your group are concerned, I suppose the poisoner may still be out there.
Yeah, like it might have been that person.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other questions anyone wants to ask? Any other conversation to be had as you're walking forward in your sodden clothes?
Theo, and he's kind of just sludging his way forward, rocking from side to side.
Fair enough. Well, if there's nothing else, let's proceed straight to Nightholme. And I think we've described it before, but Nightholme is a large, primarily wood-built kind of mansion building on the south side of Thistlehold, very close to the walls. The entire area around it, the grounds, as it were, is itself walled off, and you can only access it through a long, winding path up a slight grass-covered hillside that has a guard post right at the front of it where it goes onto the street. So for a noble, if Lassifor can be called a noble, it's not a hugely impressive estate, but for Thistlehold, there is nothing even remotely like it in the rest of the town. You reach that said guard post, and there seem to be a number of extra guards on tonight. Normally there's maybe 2 or 3 out the front, and tonight there is probably closing on 10 kind of scattered around. You can see the lights up in Nightholme are lit brightly, and you can see in the stables nearby are kind of full of horses and ponies, and even a carriage or 2 is pulled up. As you approach, Decamado kind of raises his voice over the thundering rain to the nearest guard and says, "We'd like to see the mayor if he has a moment, please." The guards kind of look a bit kind of, I'd say their reaction is, "And now this," and kind of peer over each other. There's a quick confab, and then one of them leans forward and says, I'm sorry, Captain Decamado. It's some kind of... He's not receiving visitors tonight. There's lots of dignitaries here and merchants and the like. Marvello kind of steps forward around the still kind of gently smiling Decamado and leans quite close to the guardsman and says, "We'll see him now." "Right you are, Captain. I'll go up and pass word on myself." Marvello kind of nods and hunches over. Marvello does not have a hood, so he's in a terrible mood. The guard runs off up to Nightholme, and all of you are kind of stood there vaguely in the lee of this wall, trying to get as much shade from the rain as you can. Cover from the rain, I should say. Shade. That doesn't make sense. Any kind of any? Are we just waiting for the guard to come back?
Any of guards kind of from my old
Yeah, you know a couple of
experience.
them. Yeah, sure.
And just shoot them the absolute, oh my god, we're all going to die stare and see what comes back.
They kind of like shrug at you and kind of like do that a kind of indicator at Marvello, like, is he in a bad mood, sort of. And they just nod, and a couple of them kind of like straighten up their stance a bit and get a firmer grip on their spear. You're not stood there long, maybe 5 minutes or so before the guard from before. You see him kind of like actually running down the path from Nighthome, not seemingly out of any massive urgency, but just to get back inside that guard post as quickly as possible. Kind of ducks under and says, "Okay, sorry, Captain. Yeah, he'll see you. Well, the servants will show you through." But they said, his gaze kind of glances over you as a group and says, they said best behavior. Decamedo turns and says, I'm sure that won't be a problem, will it?
Not for us. We're always on our best behavior around the mayor.
Absolutely. Stand up, folks. These heroes of the sinkhole. Let's go.
Oh,
You
god,
pass
stop
through
calling us that.
the guard post and walk up that winding pathway up to Nighthome. As you get closer, you can hear the sounds of chattering and revelry and even music breaking through the battering of the rain on your clothing and on the ground around you. And as you move closer to the doors, they're opened wide, and that kind of like yellowy orange glow of warmth and light spills out onto the pathway you're on. You are ushered inside by a few servants, all of which, without any kind of request, just start stripping your coats and cloaks off for hanging up and drying on what seems to be nearby. I'm happy, that the fancy people of Ambria have Roman-style central heating. I'm happy for them to have that. So perhaps there's some heated water pipes nearby, and all your cloaks and coats are kind of draped on them. No one's kind of resisting them taking them, are they? No one's intending to take your weapons either.
I might try and keep my fancy cloak, which presumably is what I wear on the out.
Yeah, and probably isn't wet because it's scales, right? So that should just slip off. Yeah, that's fine. If because of the way it looks, if you kind of like tug it back from the servant, they'll kind of they kind of back off from it and almost kind of go, ooh, like maybe it came out of the forest. Who knows what horribleness is there?
I will request a rag for the meerkat.
One of the servants kind of looks down and says, "Oh, yeah, yes, it's not going to soil the house, is it?"
Why do people keep asking me that?
It's a wild animal. That servant kind of scurries off and then comes back a short time later with like a small hand towel sort of thing.
I will bend down to start toweling Farron off and then whisper, "Don't you dare! Best behavior."
The meerkat seems more concerned with your action of toweling it dry, for which it's kind of like in a friendly fashion, snapping at your hands as you're trying to do it. But there we go. I should ask, by the way, have we? Oh, we have got a Sam. It's just his cam's gone off.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I'll try and fix it.
Yeah. If you still have problems, just try hopping out and hopping back in. That usually sorts it. So, as this is going on, obviously you're kind of having these sodden rags removed off you. Essentially, you can see the central hall of Nighthome is tall and long, with a great spread of wooden stairs curling around each other at the end. Over to one side is a wide open set of double doors through which you can see many well-dressed, slightly drunken and happy-looking people talking to each other. There's an area where a few of them are kind of like dancing. Others are sat around in chairs drinking. On a slightly raised temporary platform is a small kind of band playing fiddles and drums and the like. and generally a sense of just comfortable wealth is coming out of that doorway. You one of the servants kind of turns to Decamado and says, "Captain, 1 second. I think we'll just have to find the mayor for you. He's either through there or in his chambers beyond. But 1 second," and kind of ducks out and off into the room. Yeah, not often you're in Night Home like this. The walls are covered in various trophies. There's a couple of cabinets with what look like sort of probably quite valuable commodities and curiosities from the depths of Davokar. Is there anything in particular we're doing while we're standing here waiting for the servant?
I'd like to cast a disparaging look over the crowd and see if I recognize any of the movers and shakers.
I would also like to do that, but in a much more, positive and not Steo-ish way.
Less immediately hostile way. And Stephen, did you have something you wanted to
Yeah,
do?
I think so. While looking at the trophy cabinets, because this is not a thing that Alindra knows, she's just going to ask, she's going to wonder out loud what it was that Night Pitch pulled out of Davokar that allowed him to build all of this.
Sure, because there are rumors, but yeah, the actual truth of it
is his house, is his town, right? Like this is all come out of Davokar.
Yeah,
in some form or another.
He was granted what is effectively a duchy out of nowhere. He wasn't a noble; he was a commoner, a minor noble maybe at best. But his origins, there's kind of a shroud over those, and exactly what he did for Queen Corinthia, it's left to rumor.
I'm gonna look around and wonder out loud and see if anybody has a theory on that within earshot.
I'll chip in with my with Steo's vision of it. I heard he brought a cure from the forest.
Cure for what?
I don't know, but the Empress was pleased.
Lucky man.
Gave him the whole. That's laid the blueprint for everyone else going into the goddamn forest.
So Night Pitch was lucky and everyone after him very unlucky. So Aaron and Steo, why don't you both give me a vigilant roll? Let's see who you spot in there.
If it's a flat vigilant, then I do not make it.
Okay. Yeah, it is a flat one. So, Steo, you're peering in there. You see quite a lot. You know what the kind of the big merchants and the main kind of commissioners of the town look like, and you see basically everyone in there. It seems like a general social event that a lot of people are attending. You even see what was his name? Erebus, the bailiff of Blackmore. You see his father is in there as well, who's a very, very powerful man in these parts. So it seems to be a real, movers and shakers is the right way to put it. And as you're looking through, you see one figure in particular who seems to very much be the kind of life and soul of the party, is kind of like talking at the top of his lungs, dancing with one woman and then another. He turns and kind of drinks with someone and shares a joke, and then looks around and kind of sees Decamado standing there in the hallway and goes, it's the good captain, and the other one as well. And kind of strides out and kind of claps Marvello on the shoulder, who sort of takes it in the good humor it seems to be intended as. He's a kind of a nondescript size, sort of slightly burly man, with he's maybe on the older end of his middle years with a bushy white beard and scraggly sort of not comb over, but like he's definitely losing the white hair he has. He's very red faced from drink, presumably, and dressed quite nicely, but in a more of a functional way. And he's sort of sharing some jests with the guard captain, so they seem to like him as much as Marvello seems to like anyone. He then kind of turns and looks at you five and says, "An odd little collection of... Why, it's the heroes of the sinkhole, isn't it?"
That is us, the heroes of the sinkhole.
Wonderful. Such sterling work you did out there against such dangerous odds. I myself had to defend my house against a couple of those intruders, and the old training kicked in. Decamado kind of turns at you and, like, over this man's shoulder, he kind of raises his eyebrows and indicates to him in a kind of, "Do you know who this is?" sort of way. Yes, as you say, the heroes of the sinkhole. I won't name each of them, but this is Agramai Kalfas, the sanitary commissioner of Thistlehold. Agramai kind of nods and laughs and says, "I walk in the shit so you don't have to, eh?" Ha ha.
It's an important role. It's nice to meet you.
It's a very important role, and one that no one really wants, though.
And you carry it in good humor.
Someone's got to do it. Young Sadar, is it?
Correct.
Yes, I recognize you from the Hall of Nobles. Young
Oh.
lad, you came to Thistlehold not long ago, yes?
Yes, well, I think it was a few months ago now.
Not
more
long
or
in
less-
my terms, lad. I've been here for years now, years.
Well, I think I came in and then went back out, as you know, as the Adventurers Guild sometimes do.
And that's what I like to see. A young lad not resting on your noble laurels, getting out there in the world and doing something. I'm sure the rest of you will do well to stick to this one. Trust me. He's got the look of an up and comer about him.
That's very kind of you to say, sir.
Oh, lovely cat as well.
Thank you.
Well then, I best get back to the celebration, but no, I can tell you now, you've made a friend of the sanitary commissioner. Not many people can do that, eh? Your work for the city, much appreciated.
And
But,
yours.
maybe let me and my lads go down there below first next time, eh? He kind of turns away, kind of sketches a short bow to Arin, and then says, "Father," and turns and walks back into the party, where he's greeted by a couple of people with a cheer.
What a friendly man.
Is that what it looks like when somebody incredibly powerful is furious at us?
Decamado turns and says, "No, remarkably, that's just what he's like."
I thought it was going well, and then the parting comment about not letting him and his go down the sinkhole before we went.
It was his, like, below the city is like his, because the sewers.
Yeah,
and
no,
stuff.
like,
yeah. No, he wasn't.
okay.
The Decamado kind of.
We haven't stepped on his turf.
No. Marvello just kind of shakes his head and says, "He's a roustabout and a blowhard." Decamado shuts. "Oh, dear Captain, you are so very serious."
I guess
The captain will get probably the first noise out of Steel for the last, like, at least minute of that will be a kind of assenting.
I wonder if he knows anything about the well.
Or whether his business leads him towards the tannery.
Decamado says, maybe the new tannery, but I'm not sure the old one. You casting aspersions on him?
Casting aspersions, just it's always useful to make the connections and have the contacts.
Oh,
Also,
I see what you
been-
mean. Perhaps he could find a way in for us. The
We've also
tannery would have
been
had
in
to
the forest.
dispose of a lot of matter.
And
possible.
also collect.
Can we first explore the plans that involve going in via street level? Call me squeamish.
Oh, Sir Knight, how dull. Marvello kind of like is just kind of shaking his head. Marvello and Decamado seem to get along somewhat, but they're not exactly similar people. After another couple of minutes, the servant ducks back through the kind of gathering and says, "Yes, the mayor will see you. We won't go through." It kind of glances over, like still you're kind of dripping, kind of like the garments under your robes and your cloaks. We won't go through the party. Why don't you accompany me, and we'll go through a couple of rooms over here. And the servant kind of walks over and opens some doors for you to go through into a corridor.
Follow along.
Leads you along that and opens another set of doors and kind of gestures through. There are a couple of guards stood inside the doors, and they kind of look round, and as soon as they see the two guard captains, they step past you as you file in. And the doors are shut kind of behind them. So you are now in a room with just you, the two captains, and sat at a desk in a large kind of leather chair that kind of rises quite some way above him, and looking a little bit sorry for himself, I have to say, is Mayor Lassifor Nightpitch. He's not a terribly imposing figure. And he looks even less imposing tonight with a red, dripping nose, sort of very bleary, roomy eyes, and a handkerchief that seems to be somewhat sodden already, like constantly held up. He's occasionally coughing and snuffling at it. There are no signs that it's some horrible infection, like the handkerchief doesn't have blood on it or anything like that. But he looks definitely miserable. Behind him, stood near a roaring fireplace, is a figure dressed in black veils covering almost her entire body and almost all of her face, but glimpsed underneath it you can see it is certainly his witch companion Yagaba, who I believe you went down into the sinkhole with the first time you went down. And the second, probably. No, not the first. The second time you went down. Yes, I know what I'm talking about. And we'll skip back to Nightpitch and just keep him up there, I think. Nightpitch kind of glances up, snuffles into his handkerchief one more time and says, "Marvello, Decamado, and the heroes of the sinkhole. Yes, and three of you I have met before in person, I believe. The business with the flayer. And very well done for that, I'm sure.
Thank you,
I
sir.
mean no disrespect or lack of hospitality, but please tell me why you have come to me tonight." Decamado kind of says, "Oh, I wouldn't want to step on my fine companion's story, so why don't they start, and then I can fill in any blanks from a city guard perspective." And kind of steps to one side and looks over at you with a slightly socially sadistic grin.
Aaron?
I will step forward, sketch a bow to Nightpitch and to Yagaba, and say, "Good Mayor, we believe we have a lead on the location of a cult or possible cult leader within your fine city.
Another one.
Yes, regretfully.
I suppose when all this is done, at the very least, there will be few opportunities left for such corruption in the town. Go on then. How do you know of this? Who is responsible? I suppose I must know everything.
John has forgotten his name.
Well,
Someone help.
whose name?
The antique dealer.
Alaba.
Alaba, he's an antique dealer, and I believe well known to the captains here. He has taken something from the forest, and we have been asked by concerned parties to return it.
That sounds foreboding. He looks up at Decamado with an eyebrow raised, and Decamado fishes the kind of report on Alaba out of an inner pocket and passes across to him. Night Pitch kind of takes a bit too long to read it, and says, "Really, no evidence on any of this." Decamado, regretfully, no. How do we know he's got something from the forest? Anyone?
I'm going to step forward if no one else is. I kind of look to the others and see if anybody's about to speak.
Oh, okay. What's your name, young lady?
I'm Elindra. It's an honor to meet you, sir.
Former Templar, then?
Yes, but that's not important right now.
It might be important later. Carry on.
We came to this information. I will attempt to cut a long story as short as possible in order to respect your time. We were investigating the cause of the sinkhole. The cause of the sinkhole appears to have been a warning system, an alarm system that relates to a well inside Davakar. I guess if you consider the damage that was done by the warning, the thing that it's trying to warn about is potentially very, very destructive, both to Ambria and to Davakar. We followed clues into the forest. We spoke to an elf who is involved
involved in attempting to thwart this, I would assume.
Involved in attempting to thwart this, yes. And we are also involved in attempting to thwart this. Like, we need to, Alaba needs to be stopped, and the thing that he has taken, it needs to go back in the forest. Otherwise, all of us are in, I believe, a lot of danger.
Marvello kind of leans in and says, "There's evidence that he may be occupying the old tannery, sir." Tannery. There was a sale on that. He calls for the servant waiting outside, who ducks in, asks for... He basically says, "Bring me the information, the sale information of the old tannery. Quick. The servant kind of scampers off. Night Pitch says, "Well, I appreciate the honesty. Ascarai, are you wearing your ring?"
Not at the moment, but I was going to ask if I can look to see if Yagaba wears a ring or not.
You can, and I will tell you that you cannot tell because she is shrouded in so much kind of dark material that you can't see her hands. So I will go ahead and say that you can't tell.
Okay, I think I would not be wearing the ring in that case.
The servant is back relatively quickly with the information. It's handed over to Night Pitch, and he kind of paws over it a second. Closed a year ago, but bought 2 months back. Marvello and Decamado both look a little surprised at this. Rented a merchant from Indaros, Beniam Golak. Don't know him. Don't know him at all.
Do I recognize the name?
No.
Okay.
All right. So it is to be more blades in the street again in this town. Is that it? Decamado says, maybe, regretfully, sir. He glances over at Yagaba, who gives an almost kind of imperceptible nod. This needs to be done as quietly as possible. Am I clear?
Understood.
We're not going to rouse the fears and the panic of the populace again so soon after the events of the sinkhole, the fuss at the mission house, the talk of these disciples and this red eye. This needs to be surgical. And it needs to be done tonight while no one is on the streets. You seem to have a certain urgency about you anyway. A limited number of city guard. Any other allies you can pull together, I suppose. But nothing in force. Go in there and find whatever it is that's causing this alarm that this Alaba wants to do. Shut it down. Try and bring him alive. Though if he's dead, no one's going to shed any tears by the sound of it. Does this satisfy you all?
And if we locate the item, do we have your leave to take it back to the forest, sir?
That's what the elf wanted, was it?
They instructed us to give it to the witches, the ones camped just outside.
He glances over at Yugaba again, who gives another imperceptible nod. All right. These witches, are they some of your allies?
They're also involved in the business of trying to ward off the danger. It's not a coincidence that they came out of the forest and they arrived at the town just as the sinkhole opened up. They came to warn us about the same thing.
Marvello says, I have as much healthy distrust for their practices as any Ambrian, sir. He does not even shoot a glance at Yagaba as he says this. But I will speak plainly and fair of them. They did try and warn us.
Their concern, I believe, is not the well-being and happiness and prosperity of all of the people in Thistlehold, but I think on this matter our fates are intertwined.
All right. Bring them in, but not their beasts. Am I understood? Keep them quiet. All right. Off you go then. And I want this dealt with in hours, before dawn, as fast as possible. All right. That's all. He kind of coughs and blows his nose into a handkerchief loudly as you file out of the room. Decamado kind of, as soon as the doors close, say, well, I hope you have some allies.
We have the witches.
Yeah, if we have permission to bring them in now from the mayor, we should go and at least ask if they want to pardon this.
All right. Well, I will go round up some good men and women from my personal picks of the guard at this time of night. He glances over at Marvello. He says, I'll open the north gate for you. So you can go out and bring them in. But look, if Night Pitch says he wants this done quiet, we can't have many people on the guard in this. If there's anyone else who owes you a favor or who you think might be able to pitch into this, has some interest in it, go, get them, and get them quickly. We'll meet at the north gate in an hour.
Understood.
The two captains and yourselves, kind of the servant, appears nearby and seems to kind of like not hustle you out, but certainly encourage you out through the corridors. Your cloaks and robes have returned to you, quite warm and toasty, although that immediately is lost as soon as you step outside into the pouring rain again. And the doors close behind you, the muffling of the sound of revelry and joy inside, driven even further away by the battering pounding of the raindrops. The two guard captains sort of, you walk down from night home and leave via the guard post. The two guard captains nod and then kind of jog away on their own tasks. What are we doing?
So
Marvello was getting the witches, is that right?
He said he'd wait at the north gate for you, and if some of you want to come and get the witches, then he'll open the gates for you.
Okay.
So the witches should be our last stop. Shall we see if Arfons wants in on this?
I was going to say,
for sure.
Urfons and
I mean,
Alamar are about the only capable friends that I know of in Thistlehold.
Alamar's a capable cook. He's not much of a fighter.
Serexadio doesn't do us a favor, I suppose, and he's not exactly subtle.
No.
Probably isn't that keen on seeing any of you for a while.
And won't be sober at this time of the night anyway.
Honestly, the only person that I can think of that owes us a favour in Thistlehold that we could call in is Alaba. Which is not going to work.
Do you think the church might have an interest in this?
Well,
probably
go ahead.
For some quantities of owes us a favor.
Probably an interest, but it will attract more attention and spread more gossip, perhaps.
And there's a question.
I don't know if that's a favour that I could call in. I don't think the church owes me a favour, or anyone within it owes me a favour.
And there's a question of effectiveness as well, right? I guess for something like this, we would rather have Black Cloaks or Templars than Theurgs. No offense.
So no, wouldn't say no to.
You're a very capable Theurg, but I did have a thought though, right? Disaber was one of the first people that we spoke to as part of investigating Anadea, and one of the first things that Disaber did when we met her was take us down to speak to that person that had been on the mission into Davakar to retrieve this head. Like,
that's
first person we speak to immediately put us in touch with the expedition. Which in
And
hindsight is
might-
quite an unusual thing to have done.
And
I don't-
lays
I'm not-
credence to the fact that it might be worth calling in. To inform, if not to request.
I will send a message.
I don't expect the Saber to come with us, but I just thought if she knew that now, after all this time, we were finally following up on the story that she was quite insistent that we were told.
I believe it's because you were showing concern about the concept of corruption within Thistlehold. And she was kind of like, here's where we keep all the corruption in Thistlehold.
Yeah.
Down here. So
Yeah. Elindra, that is wise.
You probably wouldn't be able to find messengers at this time of night, just so you know, Mike.
Okay.
Especially in the pouring rain. But like you can just go there. The Sun Temple is literally around the corner.
Yeah, I will go there then.
No one else we could think of that could be counted as an ally who you've worked with, who might owe you, theoretically, if not practically.
We should call into the order.
What about Lysindra's friend?
We did get Lysindra arrested.
Well, I think Lysindra got herself arrested, and I think TTRPG was quite clear about the people that Lysindra associated with. I'm not sure that that's a great idea.
I mean, we know they're a capable fighter. At least, we know they're very discreet.
And we know
that
they
help us.
We know that they're dangerous fanatics.
Well, in the eyes of one elf, I'm sure they think differently.
So you only have an hour to do this, so I'm going to put the out of game time pressure on you as well. Let's reach in the next short amount of time a list of who we're going to seek help from. So the individuals who've been put forth, who've been mentioned, are Earthons, the Ordo Magica, Desaber, the Elf Maoriel. Was that it?
The witches.
Oh, the witches.
The witches.
And the witches. Okay. Are we? It sounded like we were very uncertain about, for example, the elf.
I think, certainly Elindra would be against it on the grounds that is way deeper into Iron Pact politics than she wants to get.
Just going on the things that 4 people have nodded about an uncertainty about the elf. So shall we just cross that off the list? Unless anyone really wants to go rogue and go do it themselves.
Happy for that to be crossed off the list.
Okay. Has anyone got any reluctance about any of the other 4?
No.
Wait, I don't really know the Order Magica that well, so no. Okay.
I would be reluctant about the Order Magica because I don't know how willing they would be to let us take what we find back to the forest.
That's true. I can't figure out why they would feel like they owed us their help, to be honest. Like, they've been kind of involved in this, but I wouldn't say that they were allies or that they owed us anything.
They're definitely more allies and owe stuff from before Elindra was on board.
Okay.
They've done a lot of work for the Order Magic before, some of which they haven't been maybe exactly precisely recompensed as they should.
Yeah, I think I'm keen to go to the Ordo at least. I'm just scrolling through my list of names here, trying to find who the best person to speak to is, but maybe I'll find it shortly.
I mean, you don't have to go to someone specific at the Order. Just go to the Order Magica and we'll have a scene. Like, you don't tend to be able to go there and just speak to specific people anyway. So It sounds like we're keen on those 4 then, and I would say, just off the top of my head, it seems pretty clear that Anton is probably going to be the one to go talk to DeSaber. It sounds like Stio wants to go to the Ordo Magica. It sounds to me like Ascarai might want to go speak to the witches. And does that mean that either Aaron or Alindra is going to? I mean, you can always. Where's Aaron and Alindra going? Like, because Urfons is someone anyone can get on the way, right? Because the Mahira's agency is on the way to the North Gate. So,
Okay. Well, I'm happy to tag along with Ascarai then and swing by the agency on the way to the North Gate to get the witches, and we'll just regroup there.
that sounds like a plan. How about you, Arendar?
I think I would probably go with Anton.
Okay. No problem. Well then, in that case, let's roll and see which group we hop with first. And it's going to be Stio. We find you really around the corner from Nighthome, not very far at all. Bashing on the doors of the Ordo Magica, maybe trying to huddle into the archway at the front of that tower as the rain continues to come crashing down. And after a relatively short amount of time, the door to the Ordo Magica creaks open and a novice peers out and almost immediately kind of like pulls their face back as it's splattered with water from above and says, What? It's an awful night. What do you want?
It might get a lot worse. I need to speak to either Master...
If you're looking for the chapter master, it's Cornelio.
Cornelio and the lady who's always smoking.
Grumpy lady, Euphrinda.
Masters Cornelio or Euphrinda or anyone.
Oh, my word. All right, come in. He kind of looks you up and down. Oh, you're one of the sellswords from the sinkhole, aren't you? All right.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Big heroes. All right, I'll see if the chapter masters. He should be up. Euphrinda's away on business, but I'll go. Wait here. You hear him kind of like quite slowly trudging up those circular steps around the inside of the tower, and then after a couple of minutes, you hear from high above kind of the clattering of the steps coming back down. He comes maybe about 2 floors down, and then in a sort of stage whisper that's really not reducing his voice at all, goes, "Come on then, come on, the chapter master will see you, but you've got to be quick."
I will hurry up the steps, short of a jog, but...
You reach the top of the tower together. I think I've described it as maybe kind of 4 or 5 floors high. So definitely one of the tallest buildings in Thistlehold. And you find yourself in front of the door. And you've been here before. You've been to Chapter Master Cornelio's door before. The novice kind of raps on it quickly and then opens it before there's any chance to respond. Inside, you've been in Cornelio's study before. He's there sat behind the desk looking kind of worn and weathered and worried as he ever is, sort of scratching away at paperwork in front of him. Over by the fireplace stands Master Furia, the somewhat, shall we say, spiky Ordo Magica Master who went down into the sinkhole with you, and he's just kind of got his hands behind his back gazing into the flames. Cornelio looks up and says, "Yes, one, the Ordo Magica, as the rest of the town does, thanks you for your extensive services, civic and obviously the work you. What would you like?"
Alas, I am here to inform you of some dark news and request perhaps return on some of those favors and payment owed. A cult is abroad.
There is no favors and payment owed. The Ordo Magica has paid you in full for services rendered. But what are you speaking of?
There is a cult abroad in town. We have permission from the mayor himself to take it out this evening. We're looking for a small and specialized group of allies to assist us in what is going to be a surgical operation in the coming hours.
Another cult. There are always cults that... The mayor sent you.
The mayor sent us.
But, and he holds his quill up, with no official orders.
Prios' teeth. With no official orders. Look.
Euphrinda is away and an expedition has just departed. We cannot spare anyone from the running of affairs here. I do regret this. I know you clearly think it's some bureaucratic political decision. It is not. There is simply no one can be spared. Communication must be maintained, as I'm sure you're aware from your prior trip into Davakar for us.
Very well. But I will say that the culmination of our work this evening should put to rest the mystery of the sinkhole, and also will bring us into quite close contact with some very unusual equipment from the deep forest. Stuff that will not be in the town for long.
And this, of course, is a temptation and an interesting curiosity, and we look forward to all of it that is relevant being brought to us for examination. I am sorry. Please. I'm very busy this evening.
I'll cast a glance over to Furian as well, just because the last part was for his benefit.
He has turned his head and is looking at you. But the novice behind you kind of holds the door open for you.
I will turn to leave after a lingering gaze on Furia for just a moment long enough to convey big loot, lol, looking for group.
Sure.
And then I'll head out.
The door closes behind you and you make your way down at least kind of one circle around the tower when you hear the door again go behind you and a set of footsteps moving down the stairs behind you, not at a run, but at a pace.
Okay. Big fan of the drama. I'm going to keep going down the stairs until they catch up with me.
They round behind you before long, and you hear Furia's voice saying, "Sergeant, wait a moment."
Well, hold up. Thank you very much, Master.
I'd like to see this through, and I don't report to Cornelio.
Your assistance would be greatly appreciated. We don't quite know what we're going to be up against.
I can well imagine. Let's not waste time then. Come on.
Certainly. We'll carry on down the stairs.
So, you have enlisted the help of Master Kulinan Furia. So that's one. That's one, folks. Let's catch up now with Askarai and Elindra. Both of you head into Mother Mahira's agency. The common rooms are still boiling over with activity. Kind of people are in there drinking, playing with dice, playing with cards. Some kind of just talking quietly. And you know what I'm going to do? Erfons is a busy guy. I am going to roll a die. Probably not this one. Too many sides. That's silly. I'm going to roll a d6 to see whether Erfons is in Mother Mahira's agency tonight.
Okay.
And I think you've got 1/3 of a chance of him being in there. How about that? So let's see. You walk into the common room and look around. Looking for a goblin with a long, glittering silver sword. And after kind of several seconds of glancing and realizing, clearly it's not your night, a familiar voice behind you says, "Back from the forest." Erfons is sat on his own with a small igneous-looking whetstone, sort of scraping it down the edge of the blade, getting a couple of nicks out.
Hello, Earthons. Just the goblin we wanted to see.
Yeah, I'd say I'd never been so happy to see you, but I'm sure you've been a welcome sight in the past as well. We're in another difficult situation, and we could use your help.
Is this pay or gratis?
You get the pleasure of killing some cultists, most likely.
I think that's Ascarai sales speak for gratis.
Are they related to what I found down in that basement?
From the sounds of what they do, yes.
All right, let's go. He hefts the sword, which, for anyone who isn't familiar with Earthons, is probably about twice his size. Slings it over his back, and you pad out from Mother Mahira's agency and on to the North Gate. Marvello is waiting for you there. The North Gate is already cracked open. He's kind of hunched over near the side of it, where there's a small kind of guard post with a small bit of wooden roof leaning over, where he's kind of hunched up against the wall away from the driving rain. And as you approach, he looks over and says, "You could see their fire at the edge of the woods. I'd hurry if I was you."
All right, we'll be quick. Hopefully they cooperate.
Well, I mean, if they don't, they could stay outside. But I would have thought they would be more interested in coming in and getting this into their hands quicker.
You'd think so, but you never know with witches.
I have just realised, Ascarai, neither of us. Well, can you speak witch?
I can't speak witch, but I can speak. Well, I can speak a far northern barbarian language. I don't know if they speak that. Maybe we'll see.
Do you want to try, or should we wait for Anton and the others?
Let's go and try.
Okay. Cool.
You walk out, kind of the edge of the forest, barely visible at this time, kind of the clouds and storms overhead so heavy that very little moonlight and starlight is breaking through. But you can see an orange glow at the edge of the forest that you can make your way through the tall grass over. And by the time you reach nearby, all of you, like, you were soaked before, but now all the water and all the rain on that grass has really rinsed you dry. Not dry, the opposite of that. Really soaked through you. As you come close to the fire, a voice, kind of that sounds slightly muffled, as if the speaker is wearing a mask, kind of calls out in a language you do not understand.
For a start, I have put my ring on for this. Not that it'll be easy to see in the conditions, but still. I think I'm going to answer in Godinja, which is
the barbarian tribe you grew up in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
sure.
And I'll say it's Ascarai and Elindra from the sinkhole from Thistlehold.
Sure. Why don't you give me a persuasive roll at, like, I don't know, +2, let's say, because it's a related language, so...
Okay,
this is just to see if they get the rough gist of what you're saying.
My persuasive is very bad. I did not make it. I was a 10. I needed a 7.
You feel like you're kind of near the edge of the forest now. You can just about make out the huge trees at the edge, and then one of them kind of like leans slightly with a creaking groan as you realize they're not trees. They're the witches' mounts, kind of groaning and moving in the darkness. A figure kind of steps out against the light of the fire and kind of peers forward and says something again in a language you don't understand.
I guess I'll try again in Ambrian. Do you talk Ambrian? We need your help. It's urgent.
A man's voice says, "Little,
you're allowed inside the city, but your creatures are not. We found the cult.
Well, darkness.
Ajax. Head.
Ratha. The witch turns to the other witch, presumably Ephanea, the other of the two witches, and they speak back and forth for a while. You hear the term Ratha said repeatedly, and they Gadramon kind of steps forward. Did you kind of point towards the beasts?
Yeah, definitely.
Gadramon kind of steps forward and kind of indicates towards Ephanea, and then over towards the beasts and goes.
Yes.
He reaches down at his belt and kind of like draws just the first couple of inches of a wicked, sharp-looking short blade, and kind of taps on it, and then points over at the walls of Thistlehold.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, nod but quiet.
He kind of looks over at you, and even behind the mask, you can tell he's kind of realizes and kind of he understands that. He turns, says a couple of words to Ephanea, and Ephanea kind of turns and grabs a blanket and just throws it over the fire, which is doused very quickly. And then the witches step forward in the tall grass by you and wait for you to lead them through the gate.
Yep. Right through the gate. Did they both come?
Yep.
Nice.
Without the behemoths, which is good. So finally, we have Anton and Arindar arriving at the Sun Temple. I'm not, you've been to see Saber a couple of times. The Templars, the guarding, know you are, you are someone entrusted by her. They go inside to check if she will see you. The answer comes back in the affirmative, and you are led inside the corridors of the Sun Temple and up to the interior of that brazen dome in which she dwells. You are escorted up, and she is standing there waiting for you. Kind of the layout of her little area separated by those kind of dividing screens, even more elaborate now. It seems like she's really built up. You can, in fact, hear other people somewhere in among them. You hear like the scratching of someone writing, and the clink of someone maybe dealing with money, or maybe like an abacus counter or something like that. And she comes round the corner of one of the screens towards you and kind of says, "Father Anton and Ascarai, I believe, the changeling from the north." No, sorry. Yes, not Ascarai. She thinks you're Ascarai.
Oh my god.
And Sir Arindar?
Thank you for meeting us.
Yes, Your Holiness. Thank you for taking the time. It's unfortunate that I seem to be making a habit of these late intrusions.
It is not a concern. I do not sleep many hours.
Well,
it's worth noting, by the way, that as well as the noise of other people, the interior of this dome is very loud right now, with the hammering of rain on the relatively thin metal surface of it. So you're having to stand quite close together to be heard.
Well, we would not come here if it was not a matter of great import. So I will let you know what we have found, and that is that there is a source of dangerous and powerful corruption within the walls of Thistlehold, and we believe that it is connected to some individuals in the dungeons beneath this very building. Many weeks ago, you took us down there and introduced us to some of the unfortunate souls who are poisoned by the corruption, and they spoke of a journey to the north. And well, it appears that the leader of that journey took the head of a god and brought it back to Thistlehold, and is now residing within the old tannery in the town. And so why am I telling you this? Well, to let you know what is happening, but also to see if you could possibly help us with what comes next, because it is obviously important that we exterminate that source of corruption and return the corrupted item to the forest. And so with Mayor Nightpitch's orders, we have been told to assemble a very small and quiet team to deal with this problem. And I come here asking for your or the church's assistance in this matter. If you can spare anyone who might be suitable for this job, I would be extremely grateful.
She kind of nods and has kind of a little smile on her face as she says, "A god in the forest, you say, Father Anton? I thought there was only one god."
Obviously, it is.
It is. I would not repeat that in front of other members of the clergy. You're on mute, Mike.
A slip of the tongue, Your Holiness. I mean to say a god that is worship or was worshipped perhaps by those within the forest.
Some great forest spirit.
There we go.
Of course.
Forgive me, it has been a long day.
I tried for something more descriptive, Lightbringer, but heretics.
Heretics, of course. Who else knows of this? Who else has been brought in?
The city guard, town guard. There are some witches that we hope to bring in who have been outside of the city as well.
I have heard of them.
And also potentially a sellsword companion of ours, and potentially some members of the Ordo Magica as well.
Obviously, I am in no shape anymore to attend myself. I could send some reliable novices to provide what mystical and practical support they can. It would be difficult to persuade them to work alongside witches, Father Anton.
In the matter of corruption within this town, is it not important that our usual grievances are put to one side for the safety of the people within this place?
And
Nightpitch requested this, you say?
He did. He believes that secrecy and quiet effectiveness is of the utmost importance here. And so I would perhaps recommend that anyone that you can find to assist should be people who are able to follow orders without perhaps asking those more difficult questions.
Yes, I see. Well, for Nightpitch, I suppose. All right. Perhaps play down the involvement of these, as Sadar said, heretics from the north, yes?
Perhaps a better tack might be the removal of a false god from the city.
Of course. She calls out 3 names, and before long, 3 senior novices kind of come round from the dividers holding, kind of separating different areas within the dome. And she says, "This is Father Anton, his companion Sir Arindar. They work closely with other individuals within the town to ensure that corruption is fought off. You may have heard of their activities at the sinkhole recently." The novices kind of look very impressed with this. "Now, you have all been trained in the application of the gifts given to us by Prios in fighting this kind of corruption. Tonight I must ask you to put yourselves in danger for Thistlehold. Follow Father Anton, follow his guidance, and Prios watch over you. And this must be kept of the utmost quiet." They all kind of nod and all kind of say, "Yes, yes, Librarian, of course, of course." They look devoted.
Excellent. I will give a big sign of Prios and a big nod of gratitude to each of them in turn. And Your Holiness.
No, come on.
Your Holiness, I again cannot thank you enough for your assistance in this matter, and I will return to you hopefully with more information about what transpires tonight.
Yes, please do, Father Anton. And as you kind of head down the stairs, you hear her talk to the three novices one last time, give them a final blessing, and say, "There are things you may see there that test your faith. Do not worry. Trust me in this, and trust Father Anton." And then you hear them kind of walking along behind you, kind of like quite wide-eyed. They're senior novices, so they're maybe in their early 20s or so. But they look, as I say, they look devoted to the Lightbringer. So they are following you in full faith of Prios. So I think that's everyone, right? That's all of our gathering of allies. So why don't we cut to the North Gate, or the North Square, and where Decamado is waiting with, let's say, 5 members of the City Guard, all armed and ready. And obviously, you 5 arrive with the allies you've brought. Decamado and Marvello are basically standing in the center of the North Square, huddled together under kind of the storm, which, if anything, is only increasing. You can hear thunder clouds rolling in from the distance, thunder clouds kind of coming in from the north, and lightning and thunder cracking over Davakar, but approaching Thistlehold fast. Marvello kind of looks over and looks round and says, "Is this what we have?"
This is everyone.
All right. Are we going with any fancy plans, or are we just intending to kick the door down?
I had nothing more than kick the door down.
Is there only one door?
Yeah. There's some ports around the back they used to move the chemicals in and out of. But one actual door, main door, front, on the street.
Can we get the ports open?
Probably not from the outside, not without significant effort.
It's the middle of the night. We go in the front door. We neutralize the cultists. We retrieve the item. We leave.
Yeah,
Single-minded.
We don't
I like
have time
it.
to map this out.
All right. Let's make our way through. And Anton, you can speak their language. Tell those two to keep their hoods up, will you?
I will do that straight away.
Gadramon kind of looks over at you, the relatively bone-white wood of his mask. You see he kind of pause as he kind of takes in the information. He stands still for a moment, which you see as a kind of maybe a frustrated disapproval with this, and then a curt nod. And he and Ephanair kind of tuck their hoods up more. They are being shot slightly suspicious glances by the 3 novices you brought with you, but they seem their faith in the Lightbringer is enough to keep them following your orders for now. Certainly, if there's no other planning to be done, Marvello and Decamado will start walking off, and they're walking off to the west because the old tannery is not too far from where you first met Anadea, down a series of some of the older roads within Thistlehold. The tannery is it has to be said, rather a large building. There's not too many windows on the outside of it, but as Marvella mentioned, kind of like large shutters by which various materials and chemicals and vats and barrels would have been hoisted out and kind of down to street level. At the front of it, as you're kind of marching along as a group, you can see in the middle distance through the rain bouncing off the cobblestones that there are 2 individuals dressed as guards for hire just stood out in front of the tannery. Marvello kind of indicates a sort of short alleyway nearby and ducks over to the side. Just rush them?
Walk up en masse suggested it might be a good time to take a night off.
All right. Well, we think they might just be for hire.
I got no beef with them if they get out of our way.
What if they
Maybe.
run in and alert them?
Well, it's either
Ascarai?
them or us
We
kicking
have
the door down.
Ascarai.
I'll do my best. Maybe the witches could help as well if they try to run inside.
Furia kind of sneers and says, we don't need to deal with them with witches and arrows. If they flee, I'll take care of them.
Great. I'll take my bell out. Regardless.
yeah, sure.
Plenty of tools available. Let's get it done.
Furia kind of looks at you drawing your bow out and says, oh, competition, is it, Archer? Well, we'll see.
Better safe than sorry.
In that case, you all march out from the alleyway, and there are quite a few. Let's do a head count, I think. So I'd say there's the 5 of you. There's 5 city guard. There's the 2 captains, Furia, Urfons. I remembered Urfons, and 1, 2, 3 novices. Right, so that's 17 of you marching down. Oh,
The witches.
Else?
Did you
And
get
the witches, 19 of you marching down the street towards the tannery. The guards, obviously, there's no attempt. I mean, you couldn't, it would be very difficult to sneak with this many people. And it's an open street, and it's, and it's empty. Like, no one is out in this rain and in this storm. And as you walk down the street towards them, one of the guards kind of looks round, looks to the other one, kind of taps on them, and they both look over at you coming in. And one of them just mule kicks the doors to the tannery open and dives inside. The other one has unslung a sword and is kind of like holding up a shield and backing away inside. Is anyone gonna take any specific action from this, or Marvello and Decamado and the city guard look like they're kind of breaking into a charge?
Yeah,
You're not
it's
far
charge
away.
time, I think.
I think I'd shoot. Try to shoot.
Sure, absolutely. I am going. Why don't you give me a quick roll, Ascarai?
Okay. I think my quick is 10. I rolled a 4, so I make it.
Okay. then why don't you give me your best shot?
Okay.
So the defense of this individual is a +1.
Okay, I need a 16. I rolled a 20. Good start, good
Okay.
start.
It is not a good start. Your arrow kind of, it's very difficult to fire arrows in a rainstorm. Your bow is damp through, the bowstring is wretchedly taut, and your arrow goes wide and kind of thumps into the tannery wall on one side. You don't need to worry too much though, because the individual, like the guard, kind of looks as the arrow flies past and then looks back in time to be consumed, head to foot in flame, as Furia stalks forward, kind of one hand clutched out in a gesture and a rictus grin on his face as the guard kind of falls backwards and wails and screams and thrashes around. Decamado kind of looks back at the master and says, "Quiet surgical operation, I see." And then the city guard charge in. The witches just behind them, Earthons alongside them as well, and the novices kind of trotting along behind, not kind of fully charging in, but definitely moving along with them. I take it everyone is just barreling forwards as well, unless anyone wants to hold back.
No, front line for Steo.
Okay. Have the bearing of an infantryman. So let's bring out something we don't do very often.
Trap detector.
Yeah. Which is a floor plan. So the tannery opens up as you round onto it. You can see the first thing that occurs to you is, oh boy, there are a lot of people in here. A great many of them coming up from you. Can you see my? Yes, you can see my mouse on this. I don't know why I'm asking when I can see it as well. So these are kind of all vats with various liquids in. None of those liquids are kind of like doing anything. They seem to have been left here essentially from when the tannery was operative. The whole place reeks this kind of like ammonia and dirty water and acidic scent. As various of these vats and this large cauldron here are filled with oddly scented liquids. There is this raised area over on the left. You can see a number of individuals kind of leaping and scrabbling over, and you can see at least one of them kind of grabbing a crossbow and whirling round. But as for the others, there are individuals coming out of these two rooms. There are individuals coming out from this double set of stairs up here. And generally, they all look very unfriendly. They are drawing weapons, or they already have weapons on them. They seem fully armed and ready, and maybe not waiting, but certainly anticipating some kind of confrontation. There is no one particular. They're not dressed in a particularly similar way. They're all wearing different things. Some of them maybe seem like they might be sellswords. Some of them seem a bit more desperate and ragged. But they are all ready for conflict. So we're going to need an initiative list, please, John. And all we need are the people here. I'll put an NPCs bit on the end so I remember to talk about other people. And then we need an entry for cultists. And if you can put them on Quick 11 and Vigilant 13, please. I should probably say that the other way around, right? No, Quick is the main one. So Quick 11 and Vigilant 13, please. You can just put them in as cultists.
I'll get that up, but Ascarai goes first.
Yeah, we'll know that Ascarai is first. So how about that? I am not going to give you the exact number of people you will face. It is very quickly descending into absolute chaos in here. The city guard were just slightly ahead of you, and they've made contact with the enemy already. The witches are stood off to one side, weaving mystical sigils in the air. Furia is continuing to cackle as he incinerates one of the cultists, toppling backwards into one of the baths of liquid. The novices are kind of stood behind. One of them is desperately weaving some kind of protective blessing over one of the city guards in front, and Urfons has already drawn his glittering blade and is dashing along off to the right towards a cluster of cultists who are racing towards him, clearly seeing the diminutive goblin as easy prey. We'll see how that goes for them. Ascarai, there are a number of cultists. Let's say that most of the city guard, let's do a bit of a thing here. The city guard are kind of rounded and are running over towards this side, roughly as a unit. The novices are back here. Urfons is over here, charging in, and Fury is somewhere around here as well. And let's just say there are a number of cultists swarming over these. You see where these stairs lead up to these raised platforms. They're kind of swarming over this and pouring towards the center line, which is roughly where the 5 of you have entered into the tannery. So with that in mind, Ascarai, are we what kind of, I mean, I'm guessing arrows are going to be involved.
I think that's a safe bet. I think I'd scan the room for Alaba, who I guess in a way looks like, but
you do, yeah. Go ahead and so I'm definitely gonna charge you an action for that, but go ahead and give me a vigilant roll for sure.
Okay. Need a 15 or less. I roll a 16, so I don't succeed in any case.
Okay. Yeah, you can't tell. It's very chaotic. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of individuals here. Some of them are wearing kind of like cowled hoods or masks, though not all of them. And it's very difficult to pick out anyone who might be a Alaba from the general mass. One thing's for sure, like there were a lot of red eye. They weren't present even at that tent in quite such a concentration as these individuals are. Second action, arrow.
Yep, an arrow. I'll use my armor piercing thing since I couldn't take 2 shots anyway.
Sure.
So is all of these guys +1 to hit?
Yeah, every cultist you fight here will be defense +1.
Okay, so I need a 16. I rolled a 7, so I make it.
Mm-hmm. Give me that damage roll then, please.
For damage, it is 8 total, ignoring armor.
Well, that is past pain threshold. I take it you want another shot?
Yes, please. So to hit, I get a 9, which hits. And I think this one doesn't ignore armor as far as...
No, I think no, because it's a specific action to do it. Like it's an activated action.
It's a good roll, though. A 9 total.
Yeah. So your first arrow flies through the air, and it's one of the individuals running over those raised platforms towards you, looking like probably a former sellsword or even a current one, but they have a kind of an awfully familiar, hungry gleam in their eyes that tells you, even if they joined up to this outfit as some kind of mercenary, that's not what they are anymore. Your arrow flickers into the side of their throat, and he stumbles on a few more steps before your next one takes him and kind of slams straight through the crow armor he is wearing and into his chest. And with a cry, he topples forward as he's kind of coming down off that raised platform and just kind of sprawls in a heap on the floor. Let's say that there's another 5 of them kind of coming down from that raised platform towards your group. That's not to say that more won't join them. You can see others coming out from the rooms ahead of you. But for now, let's say that 5 seems to be how many your specific group has to deal with right now. Elindra.
So we're stood by the doors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as a movement action, I would like to, if possible, bolt the doors.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can spin round, and yeah, there's like a large, hefty draw bolt on the back of them, and yeah, you spin round, can slam that down easily.
Cool. And then, like, if there is anybody within, I'll be
I'd
more
say
specific. If there are any cultists within melee range,
I'd say they're 1 move away from you right now. So
okay. Although I guess interestingly, there's a free attack on engaging with them, right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, sure. So you can run up and engage.
So I'll run towards them and get and attack.
Yeah, no, that sounds fine. And that is if you engage with them, not if they just engage with you, right? Crystal. Yeah.
One free attack upon engaging an enemy who doesn't have a long weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, so wow, I needed it's +1, right?
Mm-hmm.
16, and I rolled a 15, so that is a successful attack. No,
because it's a plus. Oh well, now I don't know. No, you're right.
No,
Yeah,
it is.
you're right. Yeah,
plus
you're right.
1 to the target number.
Yeah.
Right?
To the target number. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, cool. So then we're gonna roll damage. 6.
And they are wearing. So all of them seem to be wearing some kind of patched together crow armor. And your sword makes contact with the shoulder of one of them and cuts and draws in deep, and they give the woman you find yourself attacking gives out a kind of bloodthirsty howl, and just kind of like starts slashing at you with a long dagger in her hand. So clearly doesn't seem to put her off in any way, the fight to have taken that wound from you.
Cultists in it.
Cultists in it. Arendar.
Okay, I'm going to drop Farron's leash and let Farron move freely, especially as the doors are closed.
Yep.
And also so I can use my second weapon. And then I'm going to engage with one of the oncoming cultists. Probably to the opposite side, as like if it's a side thing, to the opposite side of where Alinda is.
Sure, yeah. So you're going to run forward and engage. Oh no, you have 2 actions.
I have an
you
attack,
can run forward and attack. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's a kind of old, grizzled-looking individual who is charging towards you, and you manage to engage with him. Go ahead and make an attack at defense +1.
Okay. So target 17. I make it with 1 damage.
Okay. You don't manage a proper thrust on this individual, instead having to kind of trace your sword along the edge of their crow armor, and hey, your sword's really not all that meant for cutting, and on this occasion it doesn't manage to get through that armor, but you're engaged with them, so that's good. We are on to cultists now. So let's start with the 2 who are already engaged with our individuals. And those will be attacks at just flat attacks. So just let's have a defense roll from Aaron first. Because you're the one with the complex stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because you get an attack back. Potentially get an attack
Potentially. Back. So target is 14. Wait, is it flat defense?
Yep.
I hit that target. So I rolled a 7. So I will make my return attack, which is a hit with 6 damage this time.
6 damage. Okay. So yeah, this grizzled individual comes for you. You do a sidestep, and this time manage a clean stab in and out of their bare bicep on their arm, and he kind of rather than give like a bloodthirsty howl like some of the others have, he gives an odd kind of coughing, racking noise that it takes you a moment to realize is laughter, as he wheels wound on you again and desperately tries to embed a hatchet into your head. Alindra, let's have a flat defense roll for you, please.
Okie dokie. Trying to get a 13. We roll a 14. So nope.
14. So nope.
Mm-hmm.
Then an armor roll, please.
Armor is 1d8. 4.
Then the young woman fighting you with that long dagger is desperately kind of slashing at you, but your gauntlets and your tabard is taking those blows admirably, and you just hear the kind of screech of metal on metal as her blade finds no purchase. So we now have we've got 3 other individuals who are going to charge in, and I'm going to say that these are not particularly coherent individuals. So I'm just going to randomize this with a slight preference for people who are unengaged. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a die to see if it's someone already engaged or not, and then if not, I'm going to randomize the other person they're charging at. So first off, yep, so that's someone who is unengaged, and that someone is going to be Steo, which I'm sure we're very happy about. And then someone who is unengaged, Steo again, and someone who is already engaged, and that's going to be Alindra. So let's deal with Alindra first, because the other 2 are probably already dead. So, Alindra, give me another defense roll, please.
Sure thing.
Well, he's being engaged. Don't forget, you get a long attack.
Oh yeah, of course. I guess yeah.
Yes, that's true.
It's
Well,
engagement.
it is every engagement. Well, I've done my defense roll first, so. But we could. Well, anyway, I passed the defense roll, but I guess there's also an attack roll.
Yeah, go for it. Is it definitely that? Is it definitely every engagement at just the basic long?
Isn't it once a turn for long? Actually,
it might just be for the flat long.
I will double check it.
Yeah, I think that's actually correct. Actually, now you say it, Polar Mastery uncaps it. Yeah.
Oh, I see. It's once per round, is it? I can't remember. I know that it's to do with long.
Yeah, it's 1 free attack each turn against an opponent that comes into range of melee combat.
Then that is a defense, but I do not get the attack.
Yeah.
Sorry, my enthusiasm got the better of me.
Yeah, you were thinking of your crazy.
You're thinking of you.
Yeah. So there we go. In this case, first let's start with so Alindra defended against the attack of the extra cultist running at them. Steo, let's deal with one of these cultists first for you. So give me your free attack, please.
Sure. That is a success. And the damage is 7.
7. So that is that. That doesn't go over their pain threshold. So there's no follow-up. But I believe, isn't it a thing where you like roll something against them to see if you can knock them out of engagement with you?
That's if I'm opting to do it, and that would take up my free action, which I believe would sacrifice the attack I will get on the other person arriving.
Oh, okay.
Because this is what we were talking about last time. There's major actions and minor actions, so that would eat that opportunity up. So I can't use keep away on them if I want multiple attacks. Is my understanding.
You might be right. Let's this is so complicated. Sorry, I just want to get this right. No, that master thing is a reaction.
So I'm not reacting to an engagement. It's definitely something that I have to do.
No.
Turn.
No, the things that are limited are when it's like when it's an active, and that is the thing that uses something up. Yours is a reaction. You can use the free attack to keep an enemy from coming close enough to attack. For as long as you succeed in hitting the enemy, the enemy remains unable to attack you with melee weapons. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I can take that and the damage, then I'll take that and the damage.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I'm not sure I can take that and the damage. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
You do.
So they're still not engaged with me. They're kept at bay.
Yeah. And now let's try the second.
You see, I'm so used to these mechanics working against me that I'm actually quite surprised that they're working for me.
So let's have the second free attack, shall we, against the other one who's charged you.
That is another success. 3 damage total.
Okay. So 2 of them charge you. One of them takes a quite horrible wound from a jab of your spear into his thigh, and the other one just kind of ducks back fast enough to avoid everything but a long scratch across their face. But both of them you can just keep at basically arm's length. Yeah, they remain unable to attack you as long as you can use your free attack with a... Oh, it's so confusingly written. You can use your free attack with a polearm to keep an enemy from coming close enough to attack. For as long as the character succeeds in hitting the enemy remains unable to attack the character with melee weapons, whether or not the damage penetrates the enemy's armor. Yeah, so really it knocks them out of engagement with you is what it does, essentially, as far as I can tell. So, yeah. Let's do it like that. And then one of the crossbow-armed cultists up on the raised area to the left is going to shoot at a randomized member of your party. And that person is going to be Steo. So, Steo, give me a flat defense roll, please.
I actually make it.
There we go. The crossbow bolt goes kind of whizzing past you, almost clipping your spear, but just burying itself harmlessly into the boards of the tannery. Okay. Steo, it's now your actual action.
Cool. So, surveying the battlefield, I understand we have some witches on our flank. Are they being menaced by anyone at the minute, or are they?
Everyone is being menaced.
Okay, I don't think it's time to think tactically, so I'm just going to pick on the guy who I seriously wounded. I'm going to try and finish the job.
Try and finish the job. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's an attack at a +1, please.
Cool. Oh, no, that's the big 20.
That's the big 20. So that's that they get. See, this is interesting. So they get a... Oh God, this is so confusingly written. So it says you can use the free attack with a polearm to keep them coming in for as long as you succeed in hitting the enemy remains unable to attack you with melee weapons. Okay,
that was not a success
because it says it doesn't actually say it knocks them out of engagement. So I'm going to say they're still engaged with you, but you have to keep hitting them in order to keep them back. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so that means you can only you can only keep one person back repeatedly, unless you have 2 attacks a turn via some way. Because if they're engaged with, okay,
it's sort of what polearms do, right? It's you're kind of circling each other and you're engaged, but they just can't get at
so
you.
in the first time you get engaged with someone, it's quite easy to keep a number of them back for a turn, but then repeatedly over a number of turns you can kind of only keep one person back because you can only repeatedly attack that one person and they're all still engaged with you, so you don't get those extra free attacks of them like coming back in and out, because otherwise it would be hugely OP because you could have 10 people around you and they just keep coming back in and out and in and out and in and out. So yeah, because it doesn't say they disengage, so okay,
it just says they can't attack, right?
It says they can't attack you. So, okay, that's how we'll do it. But that also, of course, gives you a free attack if they try and disengage from you to go to someone else. So there's that as well. But okay, anyway. So you've tried to hit this guy and you failed miserably, in fact. So that is a fumbled hit. So you take a free attack from them, which they can try for because you just failed to hit them.
Yes.
So, right. Give me a defense roll, please. Just a flat defense
roll.
I know how it works. Okay. So give me an armor roll, please. Sorry, what was that? I was checking rules there.
That was a 3.
A 3, okay. perhaps distracted by you paying attention over to see how the witches are faring against their opponents. One of the individuals facing you manages to step inside your defense, and a knife flashes out towards you and just manages to catch you in the line between kind of the greaves on your hip and your the plating over your belly. And it's not a deep wound, but you definitely feel a little bit of blood starting to run down your leg. So that's just 1 toughness, please.
Ouch.
So, Anton. What's Anton going to do, Mike?
Well, I didn't really have a chance to cast Blessed Shield before we went in here because I thought those guards would scarper and I'd have time to do it then.
Yeah,
so
no, that makes sense.
I will try and do it now.
Mm-hmm. And you can extend that over a companion of your choice as well, can't you now?
Yeah, although I can't if I roll a 19. So
which is what you've just done.
Which is what I've just done.
Yeah,
I might be tempted to burn an XP on that because I suspect I'm going to get absolutely minced if I don't. So yeah, I think I'll do that. I've rolled 19 again.
Classic. Well, what would the climax of Wrath of the Warden be without a massively fudged roll from Anton? And you know
resulting,
what, Mike?
Resulting in a dead Anton.
Yeah. What are you taking any particular movement action?
Fleeing.
Like, are you engaging anyone? All the individuals initially running at your group are engaged by your companions. There are more coming behind them, but are you kind of running to try and engage anyone?
Yeah, can I try and flank someone who's near?
Yeah, you can try and. I mean, you can try, but they'll probably just round on you and cancel out your flank next turn because they'll have an action before you get to hit. But yeah, sure. you can run and try and. Who are you? Elindra has 2 of the cultists on her. Arindar has 1, and Steo also has 2.
I will go to help Elindra. Help. Let's sure. Qualify that.
Sure. Yeah. You'll go up and soak some hit points.
For a very brief period before I bleed out underneath them and get in the way underneath their feet.
Sure, absolutely.
You're going to go and stand in front of the tank.
The distraction tank strategies are just exceptional.
Anton's our off tank, and what I mean by that is he provides precious toughness points.
What he's going to do is he's going to go over, he's going to get downed, and then he's going to become a trip hazard.
Turn your body into the trap.
Yeah, exactly.
So there we go, and I'll just describe how some of those NPCs are doing. The city guard are fighting forwards. It seems that Decamado has chosen fairly wisely. These are definitely no kind of green recruits. They formed a small line and are kind of trying to step forward and batter cultists away with their shield while they drive their spears and their swords forward. You can see Decamado, who has quickly run to the left and scrambled up on that platform where all the crossbows are, and has engaged kind of 2 of them. Interestingly, has not drawn any standard city guard gear, but has his own kind of fencing saber and is clearly a practiced sword saint in much the same fashion as Arindar, and has a kind of slight grin on his face as he grabs one of the cultists, kind of whips them round, thrusts through them, and pushes them towards one of their companions who staggers back in alarm. Marvello is at the front of the line of the city guard, hacking and battering with his sword and his shield, and crying out for the the rest of the guard to keep the line and to hold and push against the waves of cultists coming towards them. Furia, still kind of cackling madly with glee in his eyes, has lit several of the cultists on fire and is now kind of gesturing out where a number of them are kind of battered back by some kind of like invisible wind or waves of some kind, who are making them topple from the raised areas in front of you and crashing into the baths below. The witches have carved mystical sigils in the air, and a few cultists in front of them. One of them is kind of like staggering with their eyes rolled back, seemingly not knowing where they are, and collapsing onto the ground in a kind of in judders and fits. Another one of them is kind of pressed up against the wall by the witch known as Ephanea, who is just driving a long dagger into his body over and over again. The novices behind you, you can hear them kind of casting their prayers to Prios desperately. You can see a couple of the city guard kind of glittering shells of protection appear around them as they desperately try and drive forward. But you do also hear an unpleasant kind of whistling and thunking behind you and a cry of pain as maybe one of the novices has been struck by one of those crossbow bolts. And then over on the right, a group of 4 or 5 cultists who had dived at the easy target of the diminutive goblin running towards them have disappeared in a weaving, glittering arc of Urfon's blade as he carves lines through them, spinning through the air, using one of them to kick off and somersault backwards as his blade whips out and rips the throat out of another one. It is thorough chaos in here, and you can see more cultists coming up from the stairs out of the rooms ahead of you, and you hear a howl from the back of the group. Faster, faster, kill them! Give the master more time! And I think we will wrap up that session, folks. So, didn't get as far as I thought we would there. So I think it's possible we may even have 2 more episodes ahead of us. Whereas earlier today, I said to this group, we've definitely only got 1 after this, but we'll see. We'll see what transpires. Either way, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my wonderful players for taking part. We'll do question and answer stuff in a bit. So throw comments and questions in the chat if you want us to talk about them. In the meantime, next week we won't be having a regular Symbaroum episode, as we'll be down a player, and this is such a crucial, like the ending, right? We don't want anyone to miss out on it. So next week we might have a substitute stream of some kind in, maybe one of our like chat round table or discussion type streams. I don't know, but we'll let people know on social media and the Discord in the meantime. But Symbaroum itself will return in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time. Promo links below. YouTube, Twitch, social media, Patreon, Discord, you know where they all are. Chris is doing far more interesting things than what I'm talking about, which is a wonderful distraction for people. We also run 2 regular streams a week at the moment. Mondays is Shadows of Estrin. That is such a long B. And Wednesdays is Symbaroum. We also have a series on hiatus, which is our World of Darkness anthology series that's returning on Thursdays in May. We run one-shots on usually the first weekend of every month. The most recent one was Tales from the Loop. That'll appear on YouTube soon. And our next one is in mid-May, so it won't be at the beginning of the month. And that is Johnny running another sci-fi Call of Cthulhu story, which I've seen the very first handout of, and I already think it's going to be excellent. So get yourselves ready for that one. Promo out there, done. Oh, we're running so late. Kind of late. John, fling those comments up for us, please.
Sorry, I got stuck in chat.
It's all right. Steve, this herbal cure will perk you right up. Smash cut to party being chased into the forest by all of the guards. I don't get it.
Because of the choking spores.
Oh, the choking spores. Yes.
You mean the perfectly healthy spores?
The perfectly healthy spores and the sick man we just went to see.
Yeah.
That a well-meaning priest
vitamins.
might. Yeah.
There was a non-zero chance of those being offered tonight, Paige.
Yeah. One from Mike here. Someone tries to take Askarai's cloak and his cam stops working. Coincidence?
I would just rage quit at even the thought of someone trying to take my coat.
That's my only loot.
Yeah, in fairness. At least it's got a bit of a backstory.
Good to see you. Anton might start to like having his own entourage. Yeah, you know, little group of novices.
I was
fetching
just
and
thinking,
carrying.
what happened to where's Keller now that you're dealing with an actual saint?
Good old Keller.
Yeah. That also made me think about the barbarian chums that seemed quite impressed by my priestliness
Oh,
back in
yeah.
Davokar as well.
Yeah, but then one of them died, and their friend died, and they seemed to go a bit cool on the whole thing. So just send a couple of goblin messages in; they'll get the job done quick. There won't be an unpunched testicle in the house. I reckon having an entourage of novices affected Antom's casting ability. Well, has he always had that entourage of novices? Because unless he has,
That's true. This is right on
Don't know about
brand.
that.
Invisible Entourage is my new like 80s band.
your synthwave band.
Yeah, definitely Synthwave. That's the one.
42, this is quite right. Matt forgot an NPC. What was Farron the cat doing during the fight? Farron had a cultist down on the ground and was a wailing, screaming cultist having their throat bitten out. Let's say that.
Oh,
Playing with
Oh,
his food.
kitty.
What else we got? No, newly catted might be my quote of the series. What? Not something to do with buffets or
No, actually, yeah.
Damn it.
tapirs.
Hazelnut. Was it hazelnut yogurt?
Oh god,
Hazelnut yogurt. Huh? Look, I've been borne out by that. Look, we received quite a few comments on that video in support of hazelnut yogurt. Not one against the hazelnut yogurt.
Do
So
not
I-
reactivate the discourse.
Vindicated.
I thought you were going to say we're now sponsored by a hazelnut yogurt.
I wish. I'd jump at that chance, Mike. I'd jump at it. Everyone has to start the stream by eating a tub of hazelnut yogurt.
Please direct all requests for sponsorship to our business email.
No, I will say this right now. Look, I don't know if
We'll sell out for
was
hazelnut
it a
yogurt.
Sainsbury's own brand. I think it was. Like, look,
was.
Sainsbury's.
Yeah,
if you want to sponsor me, I will promote your hazelnut yogurt on every single stream I do. Like, I have no shame behind that. No shame.
We already promote the hazelnut yogurt on every
For
stream we
free.
do. Why would they pay us?
No, but I mean every stream. Like, what I mean is I will log on to the Monday
Other
streams
people's streams.
just at the beginning to just go, oh, sorry, Johnny, I know you're about to run Shadows of Estrin, but I was just enjoying this delicious hazelnut yogurt. And then I'll just eat the entire thing, just staring down the barrel of the webcam while he desperately tries to run his game.
You're going to get some hackers. You're going to like infiltrate the critical role.
Yeah.
Hazelnut yogurt!
I just want to say, if there are any other hazelnut yogurt brands out there, we will accept free samples.
Samples,
To
but no
consider.
guarantees.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Didn't buy any recently. Went off a bit. So 42 didn't go off of just too much, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
How many did you
too
have
many.
in 1 week at a time?
Oh
In
my
the weekly
That
one?
depends on how much
like-
Sainsbury's pay us.
maybe like 10 or something.
Normally
Not like
not.
a large amount, but not a ludicrous amount, you know. Like just
I'm really regretting bringing up hazelnut yogurt.
42. This is an absolute classic. But RPG players either too much planning or none. No middle ground.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
I'm not
Crash.
convinced that this is going worse than Blackmore or
No, it's true.
or the tablet heist or
It's
true.
going way better than a tablet heist.
Yeah.
We spent ages planning that.
Lads,
Yeah.
do you think
Steo
it's
hasn't been
something about
virtually
us?
hacked in half yet, so it's going better than the tablet heist. Anything else?
Yeah.
See, oh, it's going to be one of those combats. Was that written after Antom's roll by any chance?
that was written after Askarai's roll. The 20
Oh.
had been the first roll of the combat.
Yeah. that
It's
was good.
interesting because after almost every action, that comment is like
Could be
like, oh,
valid.
that-
Yeah.
that was
It's
after
not-
the 10 minutes rules query.
Yeah, it's not notable when Anton rolls a 20.
Yeah. When our only DPS rolls a 20, that's bad news.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Well, there we go, folks. I think is that everything, John?
Yeah, that's everything.
Oh,
Oh,
there's one more.
some-
There's definitely one more. I like this one from Steve. If a meerkat leaves you a dead cultist on the doorstep, you know it loves you. a lesson we could all learn from. So thank you again for watching, folks. Thank you to my players. Remember, next week we might stream, but it won't be a Symbaroum session. But then we'll be back the week after for 1 or 2 sessions to finish off Wrath of the Warden. I promise. Until then, stay safe out there. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.